Jack.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Tuesday, December 27th, 2022. Well, good to be back. I hope everyone had a great, happy, Merry Christmas. We survived another one as we get closer now to the new year, just 4 days left till we turn the calendar to 2023. But what better way to jumpstart the week as our good friend and colleague, Mr. BDB, is in our studios as we're going to talk some college bowl games. Got a full slate in the NHL. Maybe go over some NFL for this week, what happened this past weekend. But without further ado, let's bring him in. Good friend himself, Mr. BDB.
Good morning, Jeff, and happy Tuesday, I think it is. I always forget the days around the holidays, you know. It's like every day seems like the same, really.
I have to double check my calendar. I don't know if it's the 27th, the 29th. I didn't know if it was Monday or Tuesday. We're creatures of habit. Everyone asks me, what am I doing today? What am I doing tomorrow? It's Groundhog Day. We're about to start January 1st will be the start of our 8th year of public service, our 8-year anniversary. So it's been the same day every day for the last 8 years. And I know, especially yourself in these lanes, it's kind of the same thing. You get up, check numbers, you do what we do. We do the same thing every day.
Yeah, there's never really a break, you know, but I don't mind it. And at least I can do it anywhere I want. You know, that's the one positive, you know. People have to get up and go to work today, you know, back to their jobs, and I have to go to work, but at least I can do it where I am located. You know, I don't have to go anywhere. So can't beat that, you know. Being your own boss is probably the best gift you can possibly give yourself.
100%. We got through another week of the NFL playoffs really starting to shaping up. The teams that we counted out miraculously are back in it. We can't get rid of the Tom Brady's of the world. The Aaron Rodgers now have a pulse. Some teams flopping in the breeze like my locals here, the Patriots. Dolphins, Tua back on the concussion protocol. You're down that neck of the woods. What's the temperature? What's the feel? Is it time to shut him down for the year? Or what's your thoughts on Tua?
I don't think so. I think that's a question for Tua, you know, like if he feels fine. I mean, you know, it's all about how Tua feels, right? Like, I don't care that Dr. MD Booger McFarland says, you know, Tua should sit out for the rest of the season. You know, like, I can't stand it when the Josina Andersons of the world, the Booger McFarlands, the Todd McShays or whoever say, oh, Tua should not take another snap this season. Let Tua take it, you know, let Tua decide, right? Like, nobody knows how Tua is feeling except for Tua, right? And then people want to blame the Dolphins, you know, blame the Dolphins should have seen this. The NFL has independent concussion spotters in the stands. It's their job to spot concussion. That the NFL hires them, right? And they tell the Dolphins, hey, take this guy off the field after this hit, etc. They didn't do that. Tua got right back up instantly, called a huddle. I mean, called a play like it was nothing, right? Like, you didn't know anything was wrong. So I don't like all these Tuesday morning quarterbacks that, you know, now they all know what's right for Tua. Now, all the all the Patriot fans, now they care so much about Tua's health. They want him to sit out for, this week's matchup and stuff. And the Jets fans who want Tua to sit out. I mean, let Tua decide, right? Let the NFL decide. And Tua knows what's best for himself, and I think he showed symptoms of having maybe a concussion, but they didn't say for sure he had a concussion, right? So nobody really knows. So I think just let Tua decide. Tua's not going to jeopardize his health, right? Like, he's not going to do that. So whatever Tua wants to do, I'm good with, right? If we have to play the backup quarterback, that's fine, right? I mean, the way the Jets and the Patriots are playing right now, I would like our chances against both of them with Teddy Bridgewater, right? I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is a quarterback who, how many games in a row did he cover the spread? Like 10 straight games, right? And he would win. He would win every game he played, basically. So I think it's great they have a good backup. And if not, if we don't make the playoffs, I'm content with it because if the Dolphins don't make the playoffs, I'm content with it because it's Mike McDaniels. I think Mike McDaniels has shown a lot of promise this year. He turned the Dolphins offense into it's one of the most exciting offenses to watch in the league this year. It's very dynamic. It's very enjoyable. You can tell a team is getting better, right? I think last year they were 8-7 under Flores also, but we've lost 4 games in a row. True. They won 7 in a row last year to get to 8-7. But I think you can, somebody mentioned this to me. Just look at the eye test, right? Last year's team looks nothing like this year's team, right? So I think they're buying into McDaniel and stuff. I like where the Dolphins are going. And like the Dolphins, even if they make the playoffs, right? These teams fighting over the last playoff position. It doesn't matter. And then you get to go to Buffalo. You're going to go to Buffalo and just get your doors blown off, right, by the Bills, who it's going to be a healthy Josh Allen. It's going to be cold. And the Bills are coming to right last year's wrongs in the playoffs. So they're basically just lining up to be the Bills' sacrificial lamb. So I don't really mind if they don't make the playoffs because I'm not really interested in watching them get blown out by the Bills, especially when I'm holding Bills futures tickets, right? I don't have to cheer for the Bills over the Dolphins in the playoffs, which I would have to do. But I'll do that. I'd like to see maybe the Jets make it. Their fans, I was just in New York for, a few days and with all Jets fans. And they seem to think Mike White is Joe Montana, right? Like Mike White's back, right? They're all excited, like party of my in-laws on, Christmas Eve. And everyone's like, Mike White's back. That's the thing, right? So I'm Mike White. I'm like, Mike White's back. We're going to the Super Bowl, right? And I actually said, like, Jets fans, their favorite player is always the backup quarterback, right? That's what I tell them, right? It's like they wanted Chris Streveler to come in the game so bad, right? Like, oh, he ran it. It's just funny. It's like a comedy of like errors, right, dude? So I'm like, they want Mike White to take them to the playoffs. It's just like, it's a lot of the AFC East. Come on, like we're all dead besides Buffalo, right? So I still going to be the Bills, the Chiefs, and what's fortunate for the Bills is I don't think they're going to play the Bengals, right?
It looks like it's going to be a Kansas City, Cincinnati when it goes to Buffalo. Second round.
And this is great for the Bills. So if I'm the Bills, I'm hoping that if I'm the Bills, I want the Bengals to win that game, right, against the Chiefs. Because I don't think, even though they play this week, I don't think the Bengals present nearly as much matchup trouble for the Bills as the Chiefs do for the Bills, because it's all like Mahomes, right? Like they're just matchups. For some reason, the Bengals match up better against the Chiefs, right? And the Bengals just have the Chiefs number, right? And I guess the Bills do too as well, but they lost the one playoff game, right? So it's going to be an interesting playoff, and the games last week were fun. We saw, Dallas fans are up on their high horse right now because they beat Gardner Minshew, and I talked about last week on the show. I said, Gardner Minshew is probably the best backup in the league, right? And Gardner Minshew, I mean, outside of a few throws, a couple bad throws for interceptions, I mean, he played a great game. I mean, they lost the game basically on a third and 30 completion, right? When I think Maddox had just went out with an injury, and Dak completed the 3rd and 30. But besides that, the Eagles pretty much did whatever they wanted on offense. So Gardner Minshew proved that he's one of probably the best backup quarterback in the NFL, to be honest. So I think Gardner, he showed himself well. He's going to get paid next year now. Somebody's going to pay him, right? I mean, there's not 15 quarterbacks in the NFL that are better than him. So he's going to get his chance next year somewhere. And that's another funny thing. My in-laws were all like, Gardner Minshew coming to the Jets, like. And then even my mother-in-law was like, Tom Brady, like, can we get Tom Brady on the Jets next year? I'm like, Tom Brady would get destroyed behind that offensive line. But, they don't, they just want like the fun football and stuff. So, I think, NFL, we're getting to that time of the year where it's like, now it's time to go, right? I'm in Pennsylvania, like an hour outside of Philly. A guy walks into the gym yesterday with a Cowboys sweater on, and he yells like, "We them boys," right? And people are just looking at him like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Right? Like, so Cowboys fans, they're getting up there right now because they beat the Eagles. But I think, at the beginning of the year, people were like, "Oh, how is this Eagles team? They're getting lucky." We see the Giants. The Giants. What do the Giants start out like 6-1 or something, right? And these teams have good starts, but you don't think they're for real. And week by week, I'm starting to think the Eagles are for real because, look what they're doing. Their backup quarterback, right? If the Eagles could get a little better on defense, I'd think they'd have a real shot, right? But who doesn't want a Super Bowl of like the Eagles versus the Bills or the Chiefs, right? The total is going to be like 54, and everybody's going to take the under because Super Bowl, they don't score any points. And I think that would be a great matchup. So we're getting to that time where people put up or shut up. You got the 49ers with Brock Purdy, but the thing about Brock Purdy is, what's it, like 4 games he's played now? Every game these teams get more and more film on him, right? And we've seen this happen a lot. When teams get a lot of film on a quarterback, they tend to shut him down. So we'll see if Brock Purdy can keep it up. Can he win on the road in the playoffs? I think there's a lot of storylines, for the NFL playoffs this year. So, we'll just have to see, what happens. And like I saw your boy, the Bengals are complaining about your boy Mac Jones with trying to take out Eli Apple, which, I mean, Eli Apple sucks. So, I mean, it's not like anybody would know he was missing. But look at the Patriots basically blowing their last 2 games on the final play, right? Like Ramondre Stevenson fumbling like on the 4-yard line to lose that game. You know what stuck out to me? This was like the weirdest thing about that. He fumbled, right? And the Bengals recovered. And then they show him talking to a Bengals player like while they're like scrounging for the ball. And he's like laughing with the Bengals player. Like it's like, I'm like, if I would have been pissed, right? But I think in New England they realize it's probably over, and keep hearing this stuff like I see Patriots fans talking about it's time for Bill to go. Like, I have news for Patriots fans. If they don't want Bill Belichick, they're gonna get stuck with, you want to get stuck with somebody else out there, like, like the offensive coordinator. What's his name from Detroit?
Patricia.
You want Matt Patricia coaching your team? I can guarantee you that you don't. Right? So it's going to be interesting to see what Belichick does after this year. I think maybe he realizes, like, listen, the glory days are done here. Mac Jones is no Tom Brady. Right? And, what's Bill Belichick going to do? Maybe if could you see the Cowboys having Cowboys go down to Tampa first round, right? They lose to the Buccaneers. Just say, right? they fire Mike McCarthy, and Jerry Jones throws $1 billion at Bill Belichick to come coach, like he did Bill Parcells. Like, you think? I mean, that's something I could see happening, right? So I think this offseason is going to be very, very interesting in the NFL, and I think the playoffs. Obviously, the playoffs will tell us where a lot of these teams are going. It was nice to see the Broncos firing Nathaniel Hackett yesterday after 15 games. But basically, we gave, they can blame Nathaniel Hackett all they want, right? I don't really think we know how he would be as a head coach. They basically gave him a knife for a gunfight, right? I mean, Russell Wilson, you gave him a knife for a gunfight. Russell Wilson, I've never seen a guy regress so much in 1 year. The guy is just terrible now. I mean, we had the Rams team total over 16.5, and that won with 5 minutes left in the first quarter. So, the Broncos are just a disaster right now, and I think their fans realize it. And there's even talk about the Broncos just paying Wilson I think it's like $50 million or something to take the cap hit and get him out of there. Is it worth it? That's what they're talking about now, because I don't think he shows any signs of getting any better, right? And I know there's people say, well, he was in the first year of a new head coach's new system, but he's been so bad where I don't see how, and the team seems to hate him, right? Do you see Brett Rippon fighting with the offensive lineman, pushed him? Because they told Brett Rippon apparently told the offensive lineman to pick up Russell from the ground when he's down, and the offensive lineman's like, "Fuck you," and it pushed him. So I mean, I don't think that they like him. I think they're over his corny. He's very corny, right? Cheesy, right? And he'll throw in the Jesus quotes. That's why I actually tweeted that on Christmas, Jesus' birthday wasn't immune to 3 interceptions from Russell Wilson. So, it was kind of funny. It was a fun, a fun week in the NFL for sure. And we had some good, last week's show we gave out I thought I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans won, right? They won outright. Derrick Henry, like I said, Titans, all they had was Derrick Henry, pretty much, right? We gave him out to score a touchdown. He, third play of the game, he busted a long one for a touchdown. And he just squeaked over his yardage because I don't know what the Titans are doing. I think Mike Vrabel, I argue with people all the time about Mike Vrabel online. I don't think he's a great coach. He had and people say he doesn't have a quarterback. Well, Ryan Tannehill, for a span of 25 games, had the 5th highest quarterback rating in NFL history, right? A couple years ago. And that's when they went to KC and blew a 27-0 lead, right? Something like that. So I don't think it's been the quarterback's fault. I think Mike Vrabel, we're seeing all these New England coaches, right? They're just falling short on other stops, right? Patricia, Vrabel, McDaniels and stuff. So I'm not sure if Vrabel's the answer, but they are what they are, right? The Titans are the Titans, right? They're not gonna be the New England Patriots, right? They're not gonna be a perennial Super Bowl contender, right? Because it seems like they have a hard time attracting talent there, right? And they don't do a good job building on a draft. So, what else did we talk about in this show? We talked about. I gave a couple more winners in the show too. I just can't remember. But,
no, we had a great show. You did. You nailed the Texans. You talked about Henry. You talked. There was 2 more that you gave out. I don't have it in front of me actually because we retweeted a few of them.
And I have so many tweets. We're never gonna find it. So.
But a lot was just said in that last segment. For New England fans, last year was kind of comical because our last 2 games of the year, one was the last game of the regular season, and then the first game of the playoffs, both against Buffalo. and Buffalo never punted in either one of those two games. So now in come the Patriots, who control their own destiny, believe it or not. A win Sunday against the Dolphins, and then a win at Buffalo, which we know isn't going to happen.
Brown Saints under was one. And what was the other cold weather game? Now that might be a Brown Saints under we also gave out, but the Browns, that's another one. The Browns, what do the Browns do, right? They paid this king's ransom for Deshaun Watson, right? I mean, paid a king's ransom for Deshaun Watson to him, right? Not really to the Texans, right? Like, would they give up like a first rounder for him, right? It's a couple first rounders or something.
Couple seconds, I think.
Then they paid him 200 and something million. And the guy, I was never a big Deshaun Watson fan, right, to begin with. I mean, I think people are like, well, he beat Alabama in the playoffs, right? Like, this is the pros, right? Like, what's he doing now? So I don't like Deshaun Watson. I think I felt good. Like, I'm not like a big Baker Mayfield fan, right? But I felt good watching Baker Mayfield tear up the Broncos on Christmas with Deshaun Watson and the Browns watching from home, right? I thought that was a pretty good storyline. Baker Mayfield looked 1,000 times better in that game than anything Deshaun Watson's done this year, right? So the Browns, I don't think at this point, the Browns can make any move they want, and I don't think it'll work out for anybody, right? It just seems like Cleveland is a place where careers go to die. That's how I feel about the Browns, right? So if Nick Chubb is listening, try to get out of there. Try to go somewhere where you could win, maybe like Miami. Maybe return to the Falcons, because I just don't think it's going to happen in Cleveland. I feel bad for their fans, right? You go to a game, it's 20 degrees below zero, and Deshaun Watson can't sniff the end zone. So, it's a tough time in Cleveland. There's a lot of tough times for NFL teams out there, right? A lot of teams struggle, and I don't know what to say to them, but it was an exciting NFL week, but kind of predictable. So you can go now.
What I want to do is I'm just taking a look here. 4 bowl games today, B2B. Georgia Southern at Buffalo at high noon. Currently a 5 and a 67 and a half under over. 3:15 Utah State and Memphis. Currently Memphis -7 with a 58 and a half. 6:45 East Carolina, Coastal Carolina. Eastern Carolina 7.5 with a 65 and a half. And the nightcap at 10:15 on paper looks like to be the best game of the day. Okie State and Wisconsin, a 3.5 and 45. A lot of people watching, a lot of people listening. Your followers are amazing. They are the fanatics of Twitter. What are your eyes seeing at 9:48 this morning?
Yeah, I do like Georgia Southern, right? Georgia Southern, they beat a couple good teams this year. They beat Nebraska, right? They beat James Madison. They beat Appalachian State, in the final game of the season. So, they have some pretty good wins on the year. They lost, to UAB by a couple of touchdowns. They did lose to Coastal Carolina 34-30. And they had a common opponent with Buffalo in Coastal Carolina. Buffalo, let me pull up Buffalo's schedule, but Buffalo, they lost to Coastal Carolina also. But Buffalo, in the MAC, I've been on MAC teams in the bowl season this year. We've been doing pretty well. Except yesterday we had a New Mexico State team total over 22.5. That got there early for us. Buffalo, their schedule just really hasn't impressed me, right? They got blown out by Maryland. They lost to Holy Cross. Anytime you're a football team and you lose to Holy Cross and they don't have Rudy on their team, I think you're going to struggle, right? Because Holy Cross is where Rudy went when he couldn't get into Notre Dame, right? They lost to Coastal Carolina. Yeah, and their wins aren't just very unimpressive, right? Eastern Michigan, Miami of Ohio, Bowling Green, UMass, we know how bad UMass is. They beat Toledo, but I think this was a down year for Toledo, right? And they got blown out by Ohio, lost to Central Michigan. Then they beat Akron by 1 point, right? And Akron, a complete garbage team, right? So Buffalo this year, I'm just really not really impressed what I've seen from them this year. And I think Georgia Southern, with Kyle Van Treese at quarterback, I think Georgia Southern is just the better team right here, the more dynamic team, right? This is a Georgia Southern team that, we're used to just, remember they used to almost run the option basically, right? They were in Division I AA, and they would just run the option. Well, this Georgia Southern team now is a high flying passing team, right? Kyle Van Treese threw for 3,900 yards this year, 25 touchdowns, right? So this is a dynamic team that likes to move it through the air. And I definitely like them to beat Buffalo by, at least 10 points. So I'll be on Georgia Southern -5. I already put the play in, actually. So I'll be on Georgia Southern -5. I think that might be one of the most exciting games of the day, because anything involving Wisconsin for me in the playoffs is in the postseason, just a dry team, right? They're going to run the ball. Wisconsin, they are out of a quarterback, right? Graham Mertz announced he's transferring to Florida, so he's not playing today. So, what does Wisconsin have at the quarterback position in this game? And the same can be said for Oklahoma State, because I think Spencer Sanders hit the transfer portal, right? So
he did.
That's a tough game right there, because is Mike Gundy's son going to be the quarterback for Oklahoma State today? So Cade Gundy or whatever. That's a tough game to cap, because you really don't know what you're going to see. You're basically betting on the names of the schools, basically, right? So I'll probably stay away from that game. If I played anything in that game, I play the under, because I don't know, but we just don't know what we're going to see in that one. Even the biggest pros, right? They're going to have a hard time, capping that one, because we just don't know what we're going to see. Then you got Coastal Carolina, who, their coach, changed over to Liberty, giving up a touchdown to East Carolina. Utah, Memphis State, I feel like that could be a semi good one, but I thought Utah State started out the year very poorly. They're one of the worst teams I watched at the beginning of the year, so I'm kind of surprised they even qualified for a bowl game. But yeah, today we're not exactly getting the best of the best for bowl matchups, So I definitely do like Georgia Southern, though, just for a small play. But if we look at the schedule now, that's pretty much all I like so far today. So
the looking for, actually, I'll stop right there. The even tomorrow, there's 4 games tomorrow, and then there's 3 on the 29th, and then the 30th. Yeah, we'll talk later about those. Flipping the page to the Pucks had a few days off. Very quickly, I talked online about the juniors, the World Juniors, and talked about Canada as the team to look out for, and Finland. They both lost yesterday. USA won 5-2. So we'll have Andrew on tomorrow to talk about World Juniors. But the NHL is back tonight, Rob. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games in all. And I'm trying to see, it looks like your Panthers are even off, so another day off for them. Anything early today that your eyes are seeing on the frozen pond?
I think we're getting, because of the break, I think we're getting a discount on the Bruins. The Bruins money line's -180 at Ottawa. That's just such a mismatch right there. And I don't see the Senators beating the Bruins in that one. So I'll probably take the Bruins puck line. It's like plus 135. No, we've got to probably lean towards the Penguins Islanders over. But outside of that, I mean, it's going to be. I really got to see these starting lineups and stuff before I play these games. But yeah, probably. The Avalanche should be a little. Yeah, a couple days off for the Avalanche probably will do them well. Because they've been so banged up and stuff. And they go to Arizona, they play the Coyotes. So I'd probably lean the Avalanche minus 1.5 right there, plus 115. And then we've got, the probably best matchup of the day is the Flames Oilers. That'll be a pretty good one. You can never take the under when those two teams play each other. But yeah, we got a busy NHL schedule. I think the Panthers play tomorrow night against the Canadians, or in 2 nights, maybe Thursday night. I gave my tickets away for that game. So if the Panthers keep it up, I'm gonna be giving a lot more tickets away for games because I just don't like Paul Maurice. I hate the guy. Actually, he's ruining the Panthers, and it seems like they're not going to do anything about it. So it's very annoying, actually. So I don't even want to get into that because it just angers me. But yeah, I think the break gave a lot of these teams well-needed rest, especially like teams like Colorado, like I said. So now we'll start to see like who's the big boys and who's the pretenders and stuff. But yeah, I think the Bruins will definitely keep it going, and what better for them to get the Senators, the first game out. I think in the NFL, the NHL, we see a lot of parity. Teams can win. Teams can beat any team on any night, but I just don't think the Senators are going to beat the Bruins tonight. So I'll probably play the Bruins in that spot and some other team totals and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it.
I want to close with this, Rob. I know we got a few days away. I don't know if you and I and everyone watching will be connecting before the end of the week. Just in case we don't, give your initial thoughts. You don't have to tip your hand or anything into the Final Four and the 2 championship games. We got TCU obviously playing Michigan, and then Ohio State facing off against Georgia. Again, you don't have to tip your hand. I know that's a big client plays and stuff, but just outside looking in for the people watching and listening, what your eyes and ears are telling you. We've had 3, almost 4 weeks to break this down, crunch some numbers, and what you're seeing, with a few days to go before kickoff to those games.
Yeah, I think I said on the show last week, for me, it was more of like a fade. I'm going to fade the Big Ten, right? Okay. So, if I had to bet it right now, I'd definitely take Georgia. And I'd probably take TCU, but the 7.5, it keeps creeping down for TCU. So if that got to 7, I don't know how I would play it, but, I definitely, I can make more cases for TCU beating Michigan than I can Ohio State beating Georgia, right? Like we've seen Michigan, play a couple close games this year to like Illinois and stuff like that. So I could see, Michigan, coming out, and their quarterback's not really like a superstar, right? McCarthy. He seems like for me, I think he's very average, right? I think they have a great offensive line, great run game, so it makes it easy for him to make passes, right? I think, when you get into these kind of playoff games, I think you kind of need like a superstar quarterback, right? Like Duggan. And I think TCU is fully capable of beating Michigan, if they're playing at their best, right? They have a lot of speed. How will Michigan deal with their speed and stuff? I don't think Ohio State, can beat Georgia unless Georgia just, totally lays an egg. I think Ohio State, coming off of a loss in their last game, I think Ohio State, the players themselves have a lot of questions about themselves, right? Like they know Michigan just ran them over, and now they're preparing for a better version of Michigan in Georgia. Who's going to out physical them, right? What can they do to stop them? So I think TCU versus Michigan will be like a dogfight, right? Like going back and forth, back and forth. And I could see Ohio State, like if Ohio State gets punched in the mouth early, like how do they respond, right? Jim Harbaugh said it best, right? Like Ryan Day was born on third base and he thinks he hit a triple, right? So I think there's a massive coaching advantage right here for Georgia. So I'm just excited to see what happens. Like obviously Ohio State can still win, right? Like they had the performance of a lifetime where Ohio State wins, and I'm sure all the sharps will be on Ohio State plus 6.5, right? Like I'm sure all the sharps are going to be on Ohio State. That line has not moved at all, right? So I'm thinking maybe towards kickoff I can get a better number. Maybe it goes on a 5.5, 6, something like that for Georgia. But right now I haven't bet either game. So I think I definitely think that TCU Michigan could be more of a shootout than Ohio State Georgia. But there's a lot of good bowl games I'm looking forward to. Tennessee versus Clemson. So there's a lot of games where you just have to watch out on the guys opting out, right? Like you have to make sure before you bet them, like the quarterback is not opting out. We used to go bet these games, and 5-6 years ago we didn't have to worry about a guy opting out when we bet the game, right? So it's nice to hear when guys like Bryce Young and say like we're gonna play the bowl game, stuff like that. And I hope we can get back to a time like that where we don't have to worry about opt outs, because like with this Wisconsin game tonight, both quarterbacks opted out. You have no idea what the guy throwing the ball is going to do. So it can be tough at times, but I'm definitely looking forward to getting towards the end right there with those playoff games. I think they'll be good games, and like I said, Ohio State. I don't want to be like, my motto is to fade the Big Ten, but I mean certainly Ohio State. I mean they've shown before they can win, right? So I'm not going to say Ohio State can't win the game, right? Of course they can win. But I don't think they will. And their playoff record is not very good since 2014. So I'm just, it's like we've analyzed it so much already. I'm just ready for the game to get here. So we'll know in about 4 days. In like 4 days, we'll know. And we'll just get ready for the championship game. So looking forward to it.
Rob, the scroll has been going the whole time on Twitter. They can follow you at Beatin' the Bookie. They can also go to your website, get the packages. I like to close with you taking over the stage here, telling everyone what you got going for the rest of the year this week and what you got going forward to 2023.
Yeah, the rest of the year. I mean, we've got bowl games. We've got college basketball, which has been great. NHL is back today, like you said. And we've got soccer. English Premier League returned yesterday, and we had a nice 3-0 sweep. So we've had, I think, one losing day since December 3rd in soccer. So it's been a nice run. It's been fun, and I'm loving the live soccer betting option on these apps up here. It's been fantastic. So I've even bet a little NBA lately, which usually I don't, but I gotta say, so these sports books, do a good job up here, like pleasing their customers. I had a $1,500 same game parlay the other night to win like $15,000. It was the Suns game, and Suns Nuggets, I think, and Devin Booker was my only leg that lost, right? And he pulled himself out after the 3rd minute, and people kept asking for refunds online, like, are you going to avoid the bet, right? And they have like a $25 same game parlay, right? I did a $1,500 one, so I'm like, yeah, please avoid it, right? And like a day later, they actually did. They avoided it. So they have pretty good customer service up here. DraftKings and FanDuel, I gotta say, but there was a big discussion online with like with like Circa, like Jeff Benson and stuff. Like should places give refunds like on bets that a player gets injured and stuff early? And I don't think they should, right? Like we've been betting for so long, right? We've had players get injured in the Super Bowls, right away, and your bet's a loser, right? And it's always been a loss, right? But it's like these new generation can't accept it, right? They're like, well, a guy gets injured, it's not fair, right? Like, it's not fair, right? So give me a refund. And I think when FanDuel and DraftKings started that, they basically opened up a can of worms to now, where a player gets injured now, and every time people want their money back, So I think that they shouldn't have done that, but now they open the can of worms, and now they're stuck with what they're going to get. So, of course, if I can take advantage of that situation and get my money back, why not, right? So, I'm not for it, but I'll jump on the wagon and I'll take my money back. That's for sure. So, I would never thought we would have said that. I tweeted yesterday, like, could you imagine asking Tony from Five Dimes for a refund, right? Like, can you cancel my bet? This guy got injured. He might fly up and kick your ass himself. So, it's certainly the times are certainly changing with sports books and stuff. So, that was nice to see. And at the end of the day, it's not really, it's a sports book's money. So whatever they want to do with it, they can, I guess. But personally, I wish they would have just never opened that can of worms, because now you got a lot of younger kids who are like, every time a player gets injured on one of their legs, they want the refund. They want the refund. They want the refund. So I think they opened up a can of worms, but that's why I don't run a sports book. That's something they got to deal with. And I don't, but we've had a nice Christmas here on the BTB team, and I'm actually meeting up with my partner tomorrow. He lives in Pennsylvania. We're gonna go to this Morgantown casino. I think they have like a Barstool sports book. We're gonna watch some games there, have some fun, and it's nice to be able to go into a sports book and stuff. So I just can't wait for Florida to have this court case go through, maybe the Supreme Court, so we can bring it back, because I'm tired of betting online. Literally, right? I'm tired of betting online, right? I want to walk into a sports book, So that's what my wish will be for 2023, right? So it was a good year, and I'm looking forward to 2023.
Well, as of January 31st, we'll welcome you in Massachusetts anytime. Number one, we're going live there on the 31st. A few of the brick and mortars will be live. The app world will be ready for March Madness. But in March, hopefully, myself, yourself, maybe Kiefer, Jess, and whoever else, the mayor himself, Dave Sharapan, will be rubbing elbows in Vegas for the March Madness as well.
Yeah, for sure. In Massachusetts, I guess they put the Whitey Bulgers out of the world, out of business, huh? No more Southie bookies in Southie. People are going to be going into the casino, huh?
Well, that's why it took so long. The proper channels had to be paid, the north end, the south end. Trust me, they will be getting paid quarterly to keep those brick and mortars open.
They got to pay their cut, their weekly cut.
That's exactly it. They got to kiss the rings. So, always a pleasure. Enjoy the East Coast. We're just a text away if you want to come back later in the week to talk some more bowl games in the NFL. Otherwise, we'll catch you on the return in the first of the year, Rob.
Yeah, hopefully I can get a flight home. The flights are a mess right now. So hopefully I can get a flight home, or maybe I'll drive back to Florida. We'll see, which I don't want to do. Probably make my wife drive, but hopefully we can catch a flight and nothing gets canceled. So it was nice to be on. It was a nice year coming on here, and I'm looking forward to 2023.
We can't wait. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from B2B at Beating the Bookie, we wish everyone a great day, a better afternoon. Keep an eye on the bowl games. NHL is back, some college hoops as well. Just a couple days left in 2022, and we'll get ready for 2023. See you soon.